It was one of those gray afternoons when the world feels smaller than it should, when silence becomes heavy enough to drown out hope. Frank sat in his dim apartment, the kind where light barely reached past the curtains, a stack of unpaid bills spread out across the table. The clock ticked with painful clarity. He had lost his job 2 months ago. His savings were gone, and even the old coffee pot had stopped working that morning. He hadn't spoken to anyone in days. His phone was dead, but even if it worked, there was no one left to call. The loneliness had become a kind of companion, cruel but familiar. He rubbed his face and whispered, "God, if you're out there, I don't think I can do this anymore." His voice cracked, but no one answered. Or so he thought. Welcome, dear friend. This is Faith Light Stories, where every story reminds us that God never leaves us. Please like, share, and subscribe. That evening, as the rain began to patter against the window, he sat staring at the wall, his thoughts drifting somewhere between exhaustion and surrender. That's when there was a knock on the door, soft, uncertain. He frowned. He wasn't expecting anyone. When he opened it, no one was there. Only a small white envelope lay on the floor. No return address, just his name scrawled in faded blue ink, Mr. Frank Allen. The handwriting looked like something from another time, careful, deliberate, written by someone who still believed that words carried weight. He turned the envelope over, inspecting the edges, half expecting it to be junk mail, maybe a church flyer. But curiosity, something he hadn't felt in weeks, made his fingers tremble slightly as he tore it open. Inside was a folded piece of stationery and a single photograph, a picture of a small white church surrounded by tall trees, sunlight pouring through their leaves, children running and laughing on the lawn. The image felt warm in his hands, alive somehow, as if it carried a memory not his own. He unfolded the letter. The paper smelled faintly of lavender and old wood. "Dear Dad, I don't know if this will reach you, but I hope it does. I've been praying for you every night. I miss you more than words can say. I know you've been struggling, but please remember, God hasn't forgotten you. He still has a plan for your life. Don't give up. Your daughter, Emily." Frank froze. His heart thudded against his ribs. He didn't have a daughter. He had never been married. He read the letter again, slower this time, his eyes lingering on each uneven line, the small smudges where tears had fallen. He touched the ink as if it might tell him something more. The words seemed to pulse with meaning. God hasn't forgotten you. For the first time in months, he felt something stir deep inside, an ache. Yes, but also a strange comfort, like someone had whispered through the cracks of his despair. He turned the envelope over and noticed the faint postmark, Henderson, TN. He didn't know anyone there. Maybe it was just misdelivered, a simple mistake. But still, the thought wouldn't leave him. What if it wasn't? He placed the letter on the table and stared at it long after the room went dark. Sleep never came. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the photograph of the church. He could almost hear the laughter of children and feel the warmth of the sunlight, something he hadn't felt in years. It wasn't just a letter anymore. It was a lifeline. By dawn, he made a decision. He showered, shaved, and put on a clean shirt for the first time in weeks. When he stepped outside, the cold air bit at his skin, but it made him feel awake, alive even. The streets were quiet, glistening from last night's rain. He walked to the post office with the letter clutched in his hand. The clerk, a woman with silver hair and a soft southern accent, studied the envelope through her glasses. "Looks like it was meant for a Mr. Franklin Allen, not Allen," she said, smiling gently. "Common mix-up. He's over on Maple Street Senior Home, just a few blocks down." Frank hesitated. "Could I deliver it myself?" he asked. She looked at him for a moment, then nodded. "Sometimes the Lord likes to use ordinary mail to send extraordinary messages," she said with a wink. The walk to Maple Street felt longer than it was. The houses were old but well kept, front porches lined with pumpkins and fading flags. When he reached the senior home, a nurse led him down a quiet hallway that smelled faintly of lavender and disinfectant. "He's not been doing well," she said softly, "but he's a good man. Always praying, always asking about the mail." In the small room at the end of the hall, an old man sat in a wheelchair facing the window. His hair was thin and white, his hands folded loosely in his lap. Frank's throat tightened as he stepped forward. "Mr. Allen, I think this letter was meant for you." The old man turned slowly, eyes cloudy with age but still sharp with something like recognition. "A letter?" he said, his voice trembling. Frank held it out. "From Emily," he whispered. The man's hands shook as he took it. He unfolded the paper and gasped quietly, as if the air had been knocked out of him. This is her handwriting," he said, his voice breaking. "My Emily, she died 10 years ago." Frank froze. "I am so sorry. I didn't know." The man wiped his tears and smiled faintly. "Don't be sorry, son. You don't understand. I prayed this morning, asked God if he still heard me, if he was still near. And then you walked in with this." For a long while, neither spoke. The only sound was the ticking of a clock and the whisper of the wind outside. It was the kind of silence that didn't hurt, it healed. Frank listened as the man told stories about Emily, how she used to sing in the church choir, how she'd bring him coffee before school, how she wrote him letters during his time in the army. "She always ended them the same way," he said with a tearful smile. "You are loved beyond measure." When Frank left, the afternoon light had turned golden. The air smelled of rain and leaves. He looked up at the sky and felt something shift inside, a quiet knowing that maybe God had been listening all along. That night, back at his apartment, he cleared the table. No bills, no despair. Only a candle, a pen, and a sheet of paper. He began to write. "Dear friend," he wrote slowly, "I don't know what you're going through, but please remember, you are not forgotten. God still has a plan for you." He folded the paper and placed it in an envelope with no name, no return address. Just one line, "For whoever needs this." He dropped it into the mailbox and walked home under a silver moon, his heart lighter than it had been in years. Weeks passed. Then one morning, another knock. The same postal clerk stood at his door, smiling. "Someone came by asking for you," she said. Said they got a letter, no name, no address, but it changed their life. They wanted to say thank you. Frank stood there, unable to speak. His eyes burned. A wrongly delivered letter had once saved his life, and now his letter had done the same for someone else. The circle of grace had closed, but it wasn't ending, it was multiplying. That evening, he lit a candle beside Emily's letter. "Thank you," he whispered, "for not giving up on me." The flame flickered, warm and steady, casting golden light across his small apartment. Somewhere, in another home, another person opened a mailbox and found an unmarked envelope. They unfolded it and read, "You are not forgotten." And that's how grace works. It doesn't always arrive at the right address, but it always reaches the right heart. Thank you for watching Faith Light Stories. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe, so someone else might be reminded that even a small act of faith can change a life forever.